all, and welcome back to part 2 of defining the continuous improvement organization. If you haven't listened to part 1, I encourage you to do that first. We're going to pick up right where we left off. As a refresher, I defined 6 domains where we can determine if a firm is a continuously improving firm. In other words, an organization that has embraced continuous improvement spirit and methodology in everything it does. In part 1, we talked about the continuous improvement culture and customer alignment. These two areas, you can see them if you have YouTube, you can see them on the left there. These two areas cover our organizational inputs coming in from the left, people and customers, employees and customers. Now we will cover the processes that deliver value, the outcomes that benefit all the stakeholders, and the supporting framework all around the organization that makes this all happen and sustains it. Domain 3 is process and system indicators. You can see that in the top center. As the firm delivers value in the form of products and services, it does so by executing dozens of processes using numerous systems. Some of those systems and processes ought to be dedicated to delivering a standardized and enterprise-wide continuous improvement experience. Lean Six Sigma is one example of a standardized process. Toyota Production System is another. Danaher and its subsidiaries and its spin-offs use the Danaher Business System. Some organizations naturally customize and tailor these methodologies or other methodologies to their own purposes, but the main idea is that there is some methodology that the whole organization believes in and uses throughout. That includes HR and finance and IT and sales and that one stubborn business unit that is the cash cow that no one wants to upset. Is one of these methodologies better than the others? Well, I can't answer that. It's like asking what fitness center is best, whether it be Lifetime or Planet Fitness. It's less important about which one is better. It's more important to simply go. These methodologies will bring lots of standardization that needs to be propagated throughout the company, and those elements will include project portfolio management, project methodology, and some training and certification standards. I'll say it now. I will cover approximately 18 points of quality, 18 indicators of a continuously improving organization. Exactly one is, quote, do you have Lean Six Sigma, Danaher, TPS, whatever. These methodologies that consultants are likely trying to sell to you. That's how important it is, 1 out of 18. Now, does such a system get you to most, if not all, the other points of quality that we will talk about? Yeah, probably. But you don't necessarily need a TPS or Lean Six Sigma methodology to deliver them to you. Great organizations simply do them because they make sense and align to the spirit of continuous improvement. What other indicators are we looking for in our processes and systems domain? Are improvements sustained? That sounds simple, but it requires a lot. Now, we are talking about the necessity of that great culture of our workforce that we talked about in part 1 to be demonstrated in how well they embrace and sustain changes. Remember that this is where projects mostly fail, when the spotlight leaves the team and shines elsewhere. Do the teams implement and utilize control plans that include pre-planned actions to be taken if performance changes? Are those plans consistently monitored, maintained, and governed? The existence of this principle of improvement sustainment also implies that the right metrics and the propagation of that data down to the operational level exists. Our next indicator. Are the continuous improvement processes scaled all the way up the organization, or do process improvement systems and processes exist somewhere in the middle or in one or a few of the business units? Has CI spread out to other business units? This is a classic indication of CI program maturity. How does this split CI personality occur where parts of the organization embrace it and others do not? 2 ways. First, a visionary executive in the organization may adopt CI in his business unit alone, which means the supporting functions in other business units miss out. This is like going to the gym and exercising your right arm. Sure, you're going to win some arm wrestling contests, but you won't be able to chase down the guy who owes you the prize money that you just won because you've routinely skipped leg day. I was in one of these organizations, and it had a small CI unit in a business unit that was expected to be spun off. When that spin-off was canceled and the unit re-merged into the greater organization, the executive left and the CI unit was dissolved. The second way that this split CI personality happens is a better story. At the top of the organization, there may be a desire to transform the enterprise into this CI organization, but there's a decision to launch the effort in one business unit first to see how it goes. Maybe that unit has a burning platform, perhaps competitive threats or a significant loss of customers or a high cost to serve customers. Or maybe they're eager to improve and have the capacity to tackle this CI undertaking. At least in this case, there's probably a plan of some sort, and it's coming from the top of the house. It does still indicate that work is yet unfinished. What does good look like? We are looking for the enterprise to have a continuous improvement program that is scaled all the way to the top and that it is present throughout all the business units and the supporting organizations. Area 4 is alignment with company internal metrics. Metrics comes up twice in our list. Once now as we focus on quality internal processes that deliver value, and then we will discuss again when we cover the outcomes of the firm. That's how important this is. First, we have to measure our ability to execute value creation, and not just any metrics or measurements, or the measurements that we can find, or the measurements the default installation of our software package kicks out in canned reports. In some places, these are called CTQs, or critical to quality metrics. The metrics we want are carefully crafted to align to ensuring we deliver on customer and stakeholder needs. These metrics roll up to the top of the organization either by themselves or these metrics directly drive broader metrics. Then we launch improvement efforts that are aligned to these CTQs, not only in terms of measuring what we seek to improve, but also measuring what we don't want to harm. If we want to deliver a faster experience for customers, because we know from our voice of the customer studies that a product needs to be delivered in a set amount of time, while we race to accomplish that goal, we also align the project to ensure we don't harm another customer need, quality. These are often referred to as primary and secondary metrics of a project. In short, we are looking for improvement efforts that are driven by truly the right metrics. We are also looking for the organization to be able to prioritize and focus efforts using company metrics. We are looking for the company to utilize some project portfolio management to ensure resources and attention are going to the right places. How are projects prioritized? How are improvement efforts tied to enterprise objectives? Are continuous improvement projects driving what matters at the top of the organization? Finally, another item that to me has a strong overlap with improvement culture is data-driven decision making. How are decisions made? Are they based on qualitative factors like how friendly and generous the vendor sales reps were when they took us out golfing? Are projects selected based on their impact to our critical metrics, or are they selected based on personalities? I remember one senior executive who made a big reaction because of literally 3 negative transactions in the RV finance business. I thought perhaps that these few blips did not a trend make, and that we were reacting to noise versus signal, but we reacted. Was that a data-driven decision? Perhaps. I suspect experience had a lot to do with the decision and that he wasn't prepared to wait for more negative news to come in. So that covers our CI indicators that align to our internal value delivery process. Next, for our 5th domain of focus, we will look at the indicators that show how the entire organization is supported and led. In our model, we see that as the number 5, the frame that surrounds the entire organization. Do our support partners and leaders support and nurture the company's continuous improvement way of doing things? Leadership matters. Leadership sets the tone up and down the organization. This ties together everything that we've talked about and sustains it. Where does this go wrong? Anywhere there are leaders who don't support this work. There will always be some, but they have to be persuaded and retrained or ultimately removed. Every leader needs to be on board and actively pursuing these goals. They need to lead by example. For example, when Bank of America began its continuous improvement journey, the CEO and chairman, Ken Lewis, famously earned his Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. Everyone in the organization knew about that, which meant when he asked you to get your Green Belt, you were more inclined to do it. When you were asked to lead a Green Belt project, you had one less excuse, and it worked, or at least it helped. The organization's resource support also must be aligned to this journey. Of course, that includes all the support functions I mentioned before, but it also includes your external suppliers. As you make process changes, those suppliers will need to be able to support your changes. If you are driving quality in manufacturing, for example, you need to be able to drive quality in your suppliers. If you are working to shorten transaction cycle times, you will need to be able to influence suppliers who are part of that cycle. For example, if you're trying to close home loans, you are dependent on title insurance and flaky realtors. Continuous improvement is about influence leadership, and this is a great example of that. Resource support also means all the support arms of your business: IT, marketing, human resources, and all the others, but especially finance, as we will see later. Certainly, everyone ought to be engaged. If it's truly important to the company, why would any line of business be omitted, especially the ones that support and sustain delivery? And that leads us to our sixth and final area of focus: outcome-based indicators. I would say is the most meaningful, because without the results, all of our effort is truly wasted. If our other 5 domains of process improvement across the enterprise are aligned and doing the right things, we ought to see the results in this 6th domain. No doubt this journey will represent a hard and soft cost to the organization, and the owners of the business expect a return. What are the outcomes we're looking for? Well, there are 3 main areas. Obviously, we are looking for financial performance. Ultimately, the firm needs to generate profits, and we should see the profit increase over time. There are a lot of other metrics that can also tell the story of the performance of an enterprise, and going into details well beyond the scope of this short discussion. Profit can be too simplistic when other financial activities are taken into account. For example, there may be one-time charges to the business, such as acquisitions, write-downs, unusual events like disaster losses, pandemics, reduction in sales due to economic factors, etc. Some companies like Amazon don't generate taxable profit because they're continuing investing back in the business. Amazon shareholders have never gotten a cash dividend. Other companies that are not in that high growth mode and are instead old school dividend payers. What we are looking to do with this is ask the question: how are we measuring success in terms of return to the shareholder? Assessing this means sitting down with the CFO to work through how we are capturing these improvements. Your finance professionals bring the discipline to enable the honest measurement of the impact of our continuous improvement program. This may very well be a tough nut to crack, but we are looking for a valid rationale at the top of the finance organization on how to quantify the effects of continuous improvement. Related to the firm's financial performance are the firm's operational efficiency indicators. This is another area that we're going to talk about. Here's one way where we can see the effects of our CI program without necessarily seeing increased dividends or profits, given all the other top of the house financial impacts the firm may be dealing with. We should be seeing improvement in the enterprise balance sheet in terms of cost of goods sold as well as operating expenses. These 2 lines on the income statement should capture our efforts to lean the organization and reduce waste. On the balance sheet, we could also be seeing improvements in inventory, accounts receivable, our fixed assets, and our cash flow. Again, similarly to profit, we need to be tightly aligned with finance to have a program and process to certify the benefits of our CI program. I would expect the finance organization to have a rigorous certification process of projects that flows down to all the operating entities that are executing these improvement projects. Finance experts certify projects and validate financial impact, and those data roll upward to the CFO, who can then assess the program's effectiveness. For our final indicator of a functioning CI firm, let's look at the innovation rate at the firm. Your CI program is more than just a cost-cutting exercise. Remember, we're looking for game-changing focus on the customer to the point of obsession. And because of that newly gained knowledge and insight, we ought to be seeing innovation increase at the firm. A firm that does not innovate is one that will die. Ask Sears, the original retail innovator, the Amazon of its day. Innovation can be measured in a number of ways. We can count the number of new products and services that have launched, and tied to that, what percentage of revenue comes from those products and services. Add to that new features to existing products and services. We can look at our patents, trademarks, and copyrights to see if we're making measurable improvements. Also tied to a traditional value of leanness in a CI organization, we should look for increased speed in the time to market for new products. We can also look for increased employee suggestions for new products, services, or improvements. Also, how many new products make it to market, and what new products do we have in our pipeline? So that covers the last 4 domains of where we look for indicators of a continuous improvement organization. To recap, in addition to our employee cultural indicators and our customer alignment methods and processes, we need to have the correct internal metrics connected to our value delivery processes. We also need the right processes and systems to support our continuous improvement functions. All of this could be put in place, but it would all fall apart without our 5th area, leadership and support alignment. And finally, all this hard work must have outcomes that benefit our stakeholders in the form of outcomes, such as financial improvement, and in support of that are other financial measures from the balance sheet and the income statement, as well as innovation. Thanks for hanging in there with me. This is foundational and will serve as hangers where we can place our process improvement hats. As we discuss tools and techniques, we'll see how they connect to these areas. As an example, the continuous improvement project portfolio management concept covers off on all these areas that we discussed: our outcomes, as well as our CI processes and systems, internal metrics, and to a degree, culture and customer alignment. And the portfolio is owned and managed by the leaders who support it. As you look to your organization with this new lens, you can begin to think about what tools and techniques you can leverage to build support for the CI program throughout your company. Consider carefully where to put your very limited resources as you seek to grow your program. It's an exciting challenge. I'm excited for you. Please keep working at it, onward and upward.